Back in 2022, Netflix gave the green light for a second season of All of Us Are Dead, the intense Korean coming-of-age zombie thriller that took viewers by storm. The show, based on Joo Dong-geun's webtoon, follows a group of students in the fictional South Korean city of Hyosan as they battle a sudden zombie outbreak, one that's shockingly created by their own science teacher. Blending classic K-drama emotional beats with a relentless pace of a zombie thriller, it managed to strike a chord with fans all over the world, taking inspiration from legendary titles like Train to Busan. Because of its runaway success and global popularity, similar to what happened with Squid Game, Netflix was quick to renew All of Us Are Dead. But even though the renewal came fast, things went quiet not long after. Updates on Season 2 have been scattered and sparse, and fans have been left waiting with barely any solid information. Still, despite the delays, it looks like the second season is slowly inching forward. After such a long break, though, the show will have its work cut out if it wants to pull audiences back in. Luckily, the story seems to be expanding beyond the walls of Class 2 to 5, which makes it all the more intriguing. So what's the latest? Well, for starters, the show didn't show up on Netflix's 2025 K-drama release list. That's led many to assume Season 2 won't be arriving anytime this year. While that doesn't mean it's been cancelled, it hasn't. It does mean fans might be waiting until at least 2026, and even that could be optimistic. Netflix still says production is slated to begin in 2025, but with no official date, it's hard to pin anything down. It's worth noting that while other major K-dramas like Squid Game have managed to bounce back with new seasons despite their own delays, All of Us Are Dead hasn't had the same momentum. Production delays have continued to push things back, and Netflix hasn't released any kind of updated schedule. That said, the series still has a strong fan base and plenty of story potential, so the door definitely isn't closed. Looking back, the first season premiered in January 2022 and made quite the impact. That same year, Netflix shared a short teaser confirming the show's return, featuring the surviving cast and, most surprisingly, Chong Sun, played by Yoon Chan-young. Even though his character seemingly died in Season 1, his presence in the promo raised questions about whether he might have survived in some form or another. As far as casting goes, the core group is expected to return. Park Ji-hoo will be back as An-jo, while Yoon Chan-young is likely returning as Chong Sun, even though his fate was left murky. Cho Yi-hyun will reprise her role as class president Namra, and Lomon is also returning as Su Hyok, the once rebellious student who had a change of heart. But with the outbreak expanding beyond the school, it's a safe bet that Season 2 will introduce new characters too, likely people dealing with the aftermath in other areas of South Korea. What's really exciting is the possibility of diving into a bigger world outside the school. Season 1 ended with a bunch of questions, especially around the so-called Hambies, those strange half-human, half-zombie hybrids like Namra. The government clearly has an interest in studying them, and that tension is likely to grow in Season 2. If the virus leaks out beyond the quarantine zone, the stakes will be even higher. One big question still lingering is what really happened to Chong Sun. Season 1 suggested he was killed in an explosion, but since we never actually saw a body and because he showed up in the teaser, fans have good reason to hope he's still alive. If he is, though, he might not be the same person. He was bitten before the explosion, which means he could come back as a Hambi himself. That twist could reshape everything about his character and his relationship with An-jo. Speaking of relationships, Season 1 spent a lot of time building up a sweet connection between An-jo and Chong Sun. Even though the series isn't a full-blown romance, their slow shift from childhood friends to something even deeper gave the story an emotional core. If Chong Sun is still alive, though, their relationship is bound to get complicated, especially if he's no longer fully human. And since the story jumped ahead by 4 months at the end of Season 1, there's a chance Chong Sun has stayed away intentionally to protect his friends. While that couple might take a backseat in the next chapter, another duo could move into the spotlight. Namra and Su Hyok had one of the most compelling dynamics in Season 1. Su Hyok, once a school bully, clearly cared for Namra from the start, and as the outbreak escalated, he risked his life to protect her even after she began turning into a Hambi. He was bitten before the explosion, which means he could come back as a Hambi himself. That bond only grew deeper when the rest of the group turned on her, but Su Hyok continued to believe in her humanity. Now that Namra is living separately from the group and has learned to control her hybrid state, there's potential for her and Su Hyok's relationship to develop further, but it won't be simple. The final moments of Season 1 hinted that Namra has found other Hambies and may be trying to protect them from the authorities. If Season 2 is really going to explore what it means to be one of these hybrids, she could end up torn between her loyalty to her old friends and her duty to these new outcasts. Interestingly, Netflix has teased that Season 2 will be a survival period for zombies, which flips the usual zombie narrative on its head. If Namra finds herself caught between both worlds, that inner conflict could drive much of the drama in Season 2. It could also test her relationship with Su Hyok in a big way. If she's forced to choose between staying with her other hybrids or rejoining her human friends, that choice could redefine where the story is heading. Romance might not be the core of All of Us Are Dead, but it's hard to ignore how much time the first season spent nurturing its pairings. And if the show really wants to explore emotional territory alongside its horror elements, putting more focus on Namra and Su Hyok could be the way to go. Their relationship already stood out in Season 1, and with so much at stake, there's definitely more story left to tell there. Meanwhile, the Chong Sun and Dong-geun situation feels more uncertain. Even if he's alive, Chong Sun won't be the same, and their romantic future is far from guaranteed. Their dynamic could end up being more tragic than romantic, especially if he's been avoiding the group or is dealing with the internal struggle of becoming a Hambi himself. No matter which couple takes the lead, the emotional stakes are clearly rising. With more of the world to explore and the rules of the zombie outbreak evolving, Season 2 promises to go even deeper into its characters and the choices they have to make. That's why, even though it's been delayed and its release date remains unknown, All of Us Are Dead Season 2 is still one of the most anticipated returns on Netflix's global slate. So while fans may have to hang on a bit longer, it's shaping up to be worth the wait. The next season won't just revisit what worked in the first, it's going to push past the classroom walls and challenge its characters in new, intense ways. Whether it's dealing with heartbreak, choosing between two worlds, or simply surviving another day, Season 2 looks like it's ready to raise the stakes in every direction. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop, and if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments.